Scott, we got 3 hammers from Jackson. Thank you very much. So the format is 12-team Superflex PPR, no tight end premium, start 9. Lamar, Darnold, Levis, Penix at quarterback. You've got Connor, Mason, Warren, Dowdle at running back. Marv, London, T at wide receiver. Bowers and Kraft at tight ends. You're working with 324 first. One is top 2. And then Jackson has his own. And then there's a late. And then he has his own, 24, 25 picks. Was not planning on competing this year, but now 4-1 and among the top point scoring teams. Obviously have poor depth, so wanted to get your guys' opinions on what to do. Should he use his picks to buy a hammer? Just so you know, too, it's a low activity league, but you can buy the big names if you overpay. So like Amon-Ra was 3 firsts, Saquon 2 firsts, Cook 1.5. So very pricey and low activities. You really got to overpay. Let me clean this up real quick, Scott. 12-team Superflex PPR, no tight end premium, start 9. What are you doing with this team?
Well, it's a start 9. It's obviously 25 and 26. I'm guessing we're not getting 24 again. So definitely an oversight by Jackson. But it's a start 9. You have Lamar, you have Marv, you have London, you have Higgins, you have Bowers. I mean, it's not a team where I'm going to say it has a chance to win right now because there's probably some other stacked teams, but it's also not a team that you're like, I'm a year away. So I don't mind buying a hammer. Probably maybe going to give it a little bit more time. If you know that type of deal is going to get it done in a low activity league, I'm probably not going to lose out Amon-Ra to anybody else because I'm guessing nobody else has 3 firsts to throw around that's going to buy the Amon-Ra offer, and they have to actually send it. So I'm actually cool just kind of waiting, seeing how my team goes the next couple weeks. I mean, it's being carried by basically 3 or 4 players here. So can you win with one more player, or do you want to kind of re-roll, maybe play it safe? I mean, I'm not buying Saquon for 2 firsts. I have no interest in buying a guy like that. I can just roll with the running backs I have until they're gone. You probably lose Mason, and you maybe get Jalen Warren back. So I don't see this as a problem on the team. It's probably just, if I'm buying a hammer, it's a hammer that I know is going to give me multiple years, right? It's buying another Marv. It's buying, a Chase or a Lamb or someone like that. Like, I feel fine having those. It doesn't mean my team's going to win this year if I just add that one player. But at least the gamble that I'm taking is one player could maybe bring me to enough to win because I already have a couple studs on the team.
That's the issue is I look at this team and I really like it, but the low activity aspect of it is a bummer because you have all sorts of capital. I mean, I could very easily see this maintaining its, 4-1 pace, but the low activity is a bummer. So let me ask you this, Scott. If you're in a situation like this where your league is low activity and you have to brutally overpay, what is the general strategy? For this team, you don't want to give 2 firsts for Saquon, but what's the general play, man? It's tough. You're going to have to make your picks most of the time, right?
I mean, I think that's why if you can get one of those deals that's going to last you multiple years, you get a hammer that's not going to expire or going to become softer after this year. Like, the problem is if you make that late first, you're now looking at, great, I have like Xavier Worthy, but in a low activity league, I'm not flipping him at the high point when I would be able to flip him like I would in a more active league. In that case, if I know there's potential for me to turn the 109 or 110 that I draft Brian Thomas, and now I can sell him for a first plus active league, I kind of want to make those picks and slow play it. But here, given it's a start 9, it's a low activity league, this feels like one where if you can just go buy the best player in the league for 3 firsts, do it. And you're not going to care much about this league. You don't have anything to buy, and there's not going to be a lot of other moves to make. What else are you going to do? Go get another league that has more starters and is more active. There you go. That's my final advice. Jackson, make the deal, but go find another league that's maybe start 11 and has daily trades like a lot of our leagues.
It's funny, too, because I left the 24 and 25 picks on purpose because I wasn't sure if Shane was going to be on the stream to answer that one. It was totally teed up for Shane to make fun of. Selfish TikTok hope there. So let's go to 3 hammers from TDubs. This is a 12-team, and thank you very much, 12-team 2QB PPR. It's 1.5 for the tight ends. Start 11, and Scott, 2 of which are tight ends. I love this format. 12-team, 2QB, 2 tight ends, start 11 total. You've got Herbert, T-Law, J.J. McCarthy, Brissett, and backups at quarterback. Swift, Pirine, Sermon, Roshan at running back. Chase, Puka, Ayuk, BTJ, Devontae, Addison, Wicks. And then you have Fergie, Conklin, and 225 first, and throw a second in there. Okay. So started 0-2, thought I was going to punt this season, have gone 3-0 since. So we're looking at 3-2, Scott. Not sure what to do with this team. Do I move picks, go for a run, stockpile assets, da-da-da. Already traded RB and QB depth for Puka Ferg, da-da-da. Let's make this hashtag da-da-da. What is this, Clay? Mid-activity league. Okay. TDubs, thank you very much. 12 team, 2 QB, 2 tight ends, start 11. Nice deep format here, Scott. It's overachieving so far. What are you doing here? And you're on mute. Rook.
Yeah, you're not really overachieving. You just have a couple players that have probably carried you in specific weeks. You know, you've had BTJ, you've had Ayuk, you've had Chase, you've had an Addison week, you've had a couple T-Law weeks, you've had Swift the last couple weeks has scored 20 plus points in both weeks. So, I mean, you've had to start these guys. So that's probably why you are quote unquote overachieving. I have a couple teams like this. My team in Orb started 0-2, and then I just started buying because I'm like, my team's going to have to get better. Then all of a sudden you run into some favorable matchups. I guess my thing would be don't change course here with this team because I don't think in a 2 QB, you're already getting beat at quarterback by probably 3, 4, 5 teams in the league, and it's a 2 QB, meaning you don't have a third. Brissett's not a starter anymore. You don't have a third QB. I'm fine kind of just riding this out, patchwork the spots that you need to stay afloat, but I'm not abandoning the, oh, wow, I'm 5-3 now. Let me start blowing all of my picks to take a shot that I can be a top 4 team. You know what I mean? Like this is one that it's already been picked for me. It's probably middle of the pack. So you want to supplement your future, but not give up at the same time. And if that means you end up in the middle, that's probably already going to happen. You have too much on this team to not be in the middle. You know what I mean? Like if I said, get this team to the bottom 3, it's physically impossible. You probably already have too many points. You have too many good players. So
right.
The only other option is try to make the playoffs. I mean, here's the positive. In a week where there's no bye weeks, which the playoffs will be, like a Puka, Jamar, Smitty, BTJ could put up 90 combined. You know what I mean? Like they could
100%
get you in the mix in the right week. Running back, you're going to have to figure out. But yeah, this is a live underdog that I have little expectation for, but I'm not abandoning. I'm not selling. Sure, I'll sell like Roshan Johnson. I'll sell DeAndre Swift. I would sell Brissett if he started again. I'd be willing to sell Wicks. Like those guys I'll sell. I'm not selling really many of the other pieces because you're already where you are.
I love it. I love it. I totally agree. And what's nice is he's kind of lean at running back while this is kind of being determined. You know, Swift, P. Ryan, Sermon, Roshan. So, I mean, it's very easy to decide to go one way or another. If you get what I'm saying.
Well,
and you have so much youth too, Scott. So if you end up, if it doesn't work this year, then whatever. It's not like your wide receivers especially are aging out. Look at how young that group is, man. What's the oldest? 24?
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, people probably look at this team on the screen and they go, yuck, the running backs suck. But this is the dirty thing about running backs like DeAndre Swift. Do you know what his start rate, Clay, was in week 4? After he had been dog shit for the first 3 weeks?
Let me take a guess, and I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about it, but let's go like 55%.
Lower.
40.
43%.
No shit.
So 57% of people with DeAndre Swift got fucked in week 1, fucked in week 2, fucked in week 3, and fucked in week 4 when he scored 29 points. And you know why? Because they benched him. Because they probably had 3 other DeAndre Swifts that they're going, oh, I'm definitely starting Tony Pollard over him. I'm definitely starting this other guy, Rico Dowdle, over him. And I mean, that is where a team like this, if you go into the season like that, you don't want to be too deep at running back in the range of like Swift, Rashad White, because you're just getting screwed by the variance of their output. Now, luckily, people started him at a much higher rate in week 5 because he had a good game in week 4. But guys like that, this team is 3-2. Because you know who they had no choice but to start every week? DeAndre Swift. So they're going, damn, now he's good. No, you just captured his war in the last 2 weeks, so it feels good. It feels even shittier if he was on your bench in week 4. Now you're like, he's screwed me every week because I didn't start him when he was actually startable. So think about that. These teams should always be lean at running back when you're in the middle, because now you don't. It was easy to start Trey Sermon last week. You didn't have anybody else.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Exactly. That's perfect. All right, good shit there. Okay, let's move to Gambit. Thank you very much for the hammer. So, excuse me. This is a 14-team Superflex tiered PPR with the tight end premium. So oftentimes this is what, Scott, like a 0.75 for the running backs, 1.25 for the wide receivers, 2.0 for tight ends. Essentially, you get the idea in terms of a graduated style. So 14-team Superflex tiered PPR start 9. You have Kyler, Geno, Fields, Dalton at quarterback, Mixon, Monty, Brooks, Moss, Dowdle at running back, Chase, Olave, Godwin, Dio John, and Dunze. And then you have Kmet, Henry, and Gesicki at tight end. The only pick is a 26 first. The trade, again, this is a 14-team Superflex tiered start 9. Give Fields, get Kittle. High activity league. I'm gonna leave this last. Let me read it. Sometimes I mess up here. High activity league. First year playing Superflex. How important is QB depth? Is this the right play? Even though I don't have a true QB3, because Dalton may be irrelevant. Okay, go ahead, Scott. Give Fields, get Kittle.
I mean, if you have to just bank on who starts more the rest of the year, I'd probably lean on Dalton over Fields. Like, I don't think that's a Fields over Dalton by any means. I mean, they made it very clear. They made it very clear. They don't want to go back to Bryce Young. Read between the lines. They don't like Bryce Young. All the stuff.
I'm thinking more of the Fields side, though. Like, yeah, Dalton,
I think Fields,
but let's
50-50. Fields is out this week, and after this week, he's going to be out the good majority of the rest of the season. Remember, they have to give up a 4th-round pick if he starts 51% of the snaps. He's already at like 27%. So the Fields gamble is, do you think Justin Fields is a starter after this year? And there's been nothing this year he's done that says he's anything different than what he's always been. So is he going to be in the NFL? Yes. Is he going to be a quarterback that when he gets his random spurts of opportunity in the future, he's worth playing for fantasy? Hell yeah. But he's not going to have any stability. He's not going to enter the offseason as he's a locked-in, surefire starter that's going to get a contract that has any value. He's going to be volatile. So the only pushback would be, is this the best deal you can get trading Dalton or Fields? And I would venture to say if it's a 2 PPR, like, yeah, give me Kittle. Give me the ceiling of Kittle versus a guy that I probably am not going to be starting. And Fields is another one. How often do you think he started Fields on this team?
Here, let me put it back up here. So Kyler, Geno, Fields.
And keep in mind, Geno's been like top 12 pretty much every week.
But I bet with the sexiness of Fields, I bet he's played.
But did he start Fields? Did he start Fields early when he didn't have a top 12 finish? Benched him, and then week 4 is when he was QB1. Did he have Geno in there in week 4 after Fields had struggled the weeks before? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking for myself, I want to say my organic reaction was as soon as Fields was going to be in, I played him, but then was he mediocre the first week? And then I benched him.
Then he blew up in the Colts game in week 4.
Right. I benched him the next week, I think, put in Dak, whatever, it wasn't brutal. But yeah, I benched him at the wrong time. So case in point, man.
I think in a start 9 where you probably could use another option, it's not just taking on Kittle for Fields. It is now I have another piece that I could maybe move. Maybe that allows you to move something for a first instead. You know what I mean? You put Kittle in your lineup and you trade like Olave for a first and a second. Some deal like that doesn't hurt you, but it actually makes you more flexible than where you are now, and it doesn't disrupt you winning.
I dig it. All right, let's move to 5 hammers from, it's kind of clunky. I just did some copy pasting, but from at Hoptimus Prime. Nice. 5 hammers. Thank you very much. And this is buymeacoffee.com/trades in 5 is where you can donate and get your trades answered on a live stream like this. So thank you, Hoptimus Prime. 10-team 1QB start 8. Ultra shallow here. PPR. Burrow, Daniels at quarterback. Pacheco, Najee, Javante, and Trash at running back. Higgins, Flowers, Worthy, Ladd, Myers at wide receiver. And Njoku at tight end. 225 first, 226 first. And here are a couple inbox offers. So the first one is Higgins and a 26 third for Tank and a 26. Let me find this. For Tank and a 26 second. Okay. So that is, and I'm going to adjust the banner after I say that again. So it's Higgins and a 26 third for Tank and a 26 second. What do you think about that one?
I'd take Higgins over Tank, but I don't think either one really moves the needle in a shallow format like this. And the pick value doesn't really change much here. So I'd just probably stick with Higgins because I have Burrow.
Yeah. Yeah. If it wasn't a stack, it'd probably be a.
Well, here's the other problem is
right?
It's a 10
lateral.
No, but it's a 10-team 1QB and you have Jaden Daniels. So what is the odds you're going to start Burrow over Jaden Daniels? I think Burrow's outscored Daniels 2 out of 5 weeks, and guess how many times you probably made that decision correctly? Like never. So you know what I mean? Like you probably started Daniels over Burrow because Burrow was playing the Ravens, and then Burrow scored more points. And then next week you're going to go, ooh, matchup says this. And so that's a tough place to be, and just relying on the stack when the stack would be more important if all I had was Burrow and I'm just riding him and I have Higgins. But I'm guessing he's going to be in and out of your lineup.
Yeah, makes sense. And the second one is
no.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to read it, but it's hell no. Trading away Daniels for A-Rich and a 27 first. This is a 10-team 1QB start 8. When you see a first, it's unless your league likes them or unless it's a top 4 pick, you can take my first. Just package it. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, and I mean, you have the capacity to trade Daniels. Did you do a Burrow? You could get by with Burrow, but the offer has to be, I'm getting what I don't want is quarterback value back in the trade. That's the first thing. Like Anthony Richardson adds less than 0 to my team because now he's on my roster. If you think it's hard to start Daniels over Burrow, wait till you have Richardson. That's going to drive you crazy because there's going to be games where he outscores everybody. Then there's going to be games where he leaves the game and, sucks and you had him in your lineup. So I don't want Richardson back in the deal. I'll move Daniels on this team, but it starts with the very top end skill players that I need back. Can I get Bijan Robinson for Daniels? Like that would be the kind of deal that I could go, okay, I already have another top 5 quarterback in Burrow. I can live with that. But it's like I need a hammer starter that immediately goes in my lineup over Najee, Pacheco, Javante. The receiver or the running back I'm getting's got to be 2 tiers above Zay Flowers and Najee Harris. And if it's not there, then I'll just keep Daniels.
Yeah, definitely. And even if it's a big name like Bijan, who's not exactly performing or is underwhelming, you want a name like that could immediately just vault right back into full price, even though it's a stinking running back. Okay, I mean, I think we gave Hoptimus Prime a good breakdown there. Thank you very much for those hammers. Let's keep going here. We just have a couple left. We're doing well, man. 422. We're shooting for 430. Okay, so this one is from, and I'm copying and pasting, Nick. Thank you very much for the hammer. So this is a 12-team super flex, 1.5 for the tight ends, start 10. Mahomes, Fields, Watson, Jameis at quarterback, Saquon, Jacobs, B-Rob, Mostert. And then we have CD, Nico, Jefferson, Rice, Shaheed at wide receiver. Hawkinson at tight end, no 25 first or second. Yet Nick is 4-1, traded May and Jay McMillan for Fields and B-Rob. And then what is it? Was that a good move? And should he try to trade Rice? What's his question? So what are your thoughts here, man? Traded May and McMillan for Fields and B-Rob.
Yeah, 12 by 10. I mean, the QB2 is a little ugly, but QB1 is a little ugly at this point. But you have enough firepower between Saquon Jacobs, Brian Robinson, and then obviously the receivers you still have that are there. I mean, between Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Shaheed. I mean, this is another team, Clay, that's probably had to start Shaheed every week. And you're like, oh, damn, that's actually worked out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a reason this team is probably 4-1 versus had she. I just want to highlight this for everybody. When sometimes you go too far into the depth, you know what I mean? Like you have too much depth, you don't take advantage of some of the volatility that you're already rostering. Like Shaheed would have never made this lineup had Hawkinson been healthy, had Mostert been healthy. You probably would have missed the first 2 weeks of Shaheed because you would have been like, oh no, he's on my bench. But instead, you kind of forced yourself to put him in. And that's where you're kind of benefiting from being shallow. So in that case, what do you do from here? What I don't want to do is actually create more problems by spending things that I could move in the future to add just more depth. You know what I mean? Like kind of let the attrition take advantage and let it work for me. I mean, what would you move Rice for in this team? Because clearly he's a 0, but he's also somebody that I don't really want to compromise and just trade for like I don't know if he's watching, but Shane made a couple deals that I'm like, the more that I think about it, and this was when we assumed Rice was going to be out for the year, right? Like I just assumed he's going to be out for the year, but he's not going to be never play again. You know what I mean? But doesn't it feel like you're just settling if you trade him for Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin? You know what I mean?
Especially with this team, Scott. Look at this. We got CD, Nico, Jefferson, Rice, Shaheed. I am holding Rice. You're going to have to pay full freight.
Do you think this team can get by until Nico comes back and then you can explore? Because I think people will be more interested in Rice as time goes by and as it's clear that they need something for the future. And I think with a guy like Rice, all the 25 firsts that are going to get moved may be spoken for by time you really want to make a trade. The next best thing is somebody's going to go, ooh, I have a competing Mike Evans and a Derrick Henry, and I would love to turn them both into Rashee Rice because I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm 5-6. I need to get rid of these guys because I'm not winning this year. That feels like the kind of deal you could get for Rice, which that could be the difference between winning a title and not. You know what I mean? Getting 2 locked in starters later on down the road. So I don't want to settle for Rice because I think what you're going to get offered for him right now is here, I give you Chris Godwin in a second. And that, as soon as I accept that trade, I have the asset that it's just waiting to get tipped off the cliff. At some point I've lost.
And Scott, you're 4-1. So I feel like I have at least a week buffer there, to kind of reassess where I'm at as standings take shape more.
If I go 500 the rest of the way, I'm in the playoffs easy.
Yep. Good stuff there. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Almost done. We got Angel, got us 3 hammers. Thank you very much. 12-team Superflex, PPR, no tight end premium, a 6-point per passing touchdown. We have Burrow, Murray, A-Rich at quarterback. That's nice. CMC, Dowdle, Bucky at running back, Chase, Wilson, Olave, BTJ, Pittman, and Worthy. And then Bowers, Kraft, and Likely at tight end. It's a nice little team here, unless I'm mistaken. All futures minus a 25-second. Low activity league. Want to trade for a running back, and he asked which one to target. So what do you think here? 12-team Superflex, PPR. We don't know the amount of starters, but let's assume start 10. Let's assume start 9. Activity level low. Let's go start 9. Let's go shallow here, looking at his team too.
Well, the shallower the league, the more important the running back that you're getting. You're taking an L on every week. You know what I mean? You're probably starting Rico Dowdle and Bucky Irving, which hasn't been terrible, but you're probably still losing to some teams that have some of the other running backs because you don't have the starters to spread it out. If this is a start 11 or start 12, I'll roll with Bucky and Dowdle because there's enough starters that I have good players where I'm throwing in, Worthy, Pittman. I'm throwing those guys into the flexes and I'm not getting killed there. So I can live with the, 10 points per game I'm getting between my 2 running backs. But here, if it's a start 9, you definitely want to upgrade one of those spots. I mean, what level running back can Anthony Richardson get you? Can he get me Kenneth Walker in 2 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, that's
the kind of deal you got to take. If you're asking for more, if you're going, oh, I'm not trading Richardson unless I get, Kamara in a first. You're not getting that. Like he doesn't have the name cachet. Now, what would be interesting, would you have the balls here to trade Burrow or Kyler?
In a 6 point?
I mean, Burrow and Kyler are both top 5 QBs and probably like even more preferable in a 6 point.
I'd rather not even touch that room.
But who wants Richardson in a 6 point when their Baker Mayfield is outscoring him by 8 points per game? You know what I mean? Like who is interested in Richardson?
You do have Pittman, so I don't know. So packaging A-Rich and Pittman almost makes it look worse.
Honestly, dude, we had this discussion in the Heisman the other day. I actually think if I have Richardson, I want out of Pittman. But if I don't have Richardson, I want the Colts receivers. Like, I don't want to package them together because I think their outcomes are they're mutually exclusive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Pittman is great if it's not Richardson. But sure, yeah, try to package them together. Try to get the best piece you can. But that's probably where you're starting. Low activity, so you may not even have the ability to shop around. It might be the one manager willing to move a running back is the only option you have to trade. Would you give up Richardson for... Would you do Richardson for Kamara in a second? That's the only offer, and it's the only offer you're going to get in the next 6 weeks.
Let's go, man. I mean, this is a good team. This is a good team. Let's roll.
That's the problem you probably face in a low activity, right? Like half the teams just ain't even responding.
Yes. Here, let me ask you a question, and I just have to real quick finish this banner. We got 10 hammers from someone earlier. I just want to make sure we knock that out while we're on here. Yeah. So
right. We can go a couple minutes later. Let's go 5 more minutes. Let's go.
Yeah, sounds good. So let me prompt you with this, and I'll make a TikTok out of it. I asked you what your biggest weakness was, and you said it could be like overanalyzing, too much process. What is your biggest strength, though? Go ahead.
Oh, man. What is my biggest strength? I think for me, and I'll just speak very anecdotally and personally here, my biggest strength is the fact that I have my hands in so many different pots that it alleviates me in terms of stressing over really making any decisions. Like, it's very easy for me just to go, screw it. I'll go with that.
Scott.
Not even portfolio. I'll go even deeper in terms of, I play a lot of different types of fantasy. I don't just play Dynasty. So Dynasty is my passion. It is my hobby. But in terms of it being this decision is going to bite me, it's not just the fact that I have 47 Dynasty leagues. It's that I have 1,000 other leagues and 1,000 other bets out there that are still pending, right? Like, it's just, it's not even about how much money you have in the pot. Because I think there's people that are listening that have thousands and thousands of dollars, and then people that only have $100, and it doesn't matter. But there is some freedom by allowing yourself just to go with the decision and not overthink it. Because there's a lot of times where if you don't just take the trade that's in your inbox, or you don't just be fine with taking a third for this player, like, you're going to miss the window. Because a lot of our leagues are,
right? There's so much variance as well. Like,
it's not just the variance. No, it's not just the variance. It's the activity of a lot of the other people we play with. Like, if a deal's out there to you, it's probably out there to somebody else. No. And if you don't get it, that deal's done. And the next person may not take that type of specific deal. Then we're playing a game that changes so much week to week. If you're hesitant on a deal on a Friday and you say, I'm going to wait another week, dude, the entire market's blown by next Tuesday. So I think just suspending, being stuck, not being able to make a decision because I'm not sure of the outcome, it just allows you to go, you know what, screw it, let's try it. And as long as you correlate those decisions that you make, like the running back discussion we had earlier, if you're going to lean into like a 0 RB team or a hero RB team, lean into it. Don't look at it and go, man, my hero RB is not performing like a hero RB, so I need to go below a first to chase the hero RB that somebody else is charging me a tax for. Like, really lean into the big picture strategy that you already started to go down the road. That's where having a lot of hands in different cookie jars allows you to just suspend the stress of making decisions and just roll with things.
We can't confirm whether or not Scott Connor is a robot. Maybe he can't even. if he's AI or whatnot. But here's the last one we're going to go to. This was, let me make sure I give the shout out. Neighbors Know My Name. 10 hammers. Thank you very much, man. Super generous. So that's $50, and Buy Me a Coffee takes much less of a rake than YouTube. Okay. He says, look forward to Tuesday night every week. You guys make me think differently and look at Dynasty from a far different perspective than most. Literally, that is our mission. If we can get you to think about Dynasty, it's a W for us. Okay. So we have a 12-team, 1 QB PPR, no tight end premium, start 8. So very shallow here. Iceman Daniels, Penix, that running back Brooks, Warren, Bigsby, Chandler, wide receivers Neighbors, Waddle, JMO, Wicks, Whittington. I don't know who the F Whittington is at 4:34 p.m. right now. No, Wicks, Whittington, Kraft, Goddard at tight end, 225 first, including my own. The other one's mid. Own 26 first and 225 seconds. Okay. This was a long question. I'll go back and listen to this. Neighbors, what is it? Neighbors Know My Name. I'll go back and see if we missed this. It was a massive paragraph. So we'll have Shane look at it on Tuesday if I jacked it up. Anyway, inbox offers. Give JMO, get Eckler. No, gross. Yeah. Give Brooks, get James Cook.
No,
huh?
Well, James Cook's dealing with that injury. I don't know. Did you see the video of the James Cook injury? Or his like
freaking
foot
gross.
I mean,
what's the news though? Like the latest.
Well, it's
latest timeline.
He's probably only going to miss a little bit of time, but at that point, if you're risking that he's already injured, and I think there's been a couple people that have mentioned that there's some fear that it could be an injury that lingers because it looks worse than what it might be.
It's basically Brooks. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no difference between the two. You expect Brooks to get back. If you just say, hey, I want James Cook because I think he's going to score more points and I don't care about anything else, fine. But I'm looking at this team. Like, it's not like this team is cooking and they're one player away from dominating. So, I mean, that you've held Brooks this long and now I have a guy that somebody's offering me that could be injured. I'm good. I'll just hold Brooks. So, yeah, pass on that second deal.
So the next one is you're giving 225 first. And again, he said one is his own, the other's mid for Jahmyr Gibbs, a 25 second and 25 third. Okay. So let's look at this team again. Very shallow here. 12-team, 1 QB start 8. If you get Gibbs on this team, God, your first is super early, man. I don't know. I'm not doing that one.
The only thing I would say, Clay, is that, you have Daniels, you have Gibbs, you have Neighbors. I mean, it's a start 8.
Amos can spike. Yep.
It's a start 8. So, yeah, is your pick going to be super high? Maybe not. It's going to be probably a playoff, maybe a low playoff pick or a high non-playoff pick. But I don't hate the Gibbs deal. If you said it earlier in the stream, if there's a team or a format to just throw some firsts in here and go, I don't really care, and a start 8, it's probably this format. So, I don't know. I mean, what would you do on that one? Because I think if this team was a little bit better and I could get Gibbs for that, and I already had like 2 or 3 other hammers, which he does, Waddle comes back, you get something out of your other running backs, but I mean, Gibbs is your anchor, so you just need something from one of the other spots. Don't care about quarterback outside of Daniels. Kraft, top 10 tight end at this point. I mean, KTC tight end 9, Tucker Kraft now has moved up.
No, I know. Like I'm looking at that tight end room, I'm go with it. And I mean, we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, how cheap can I get Monty?
And if Tua comes back,
25 seconds there.
If Tua comes back, like the 2 type of receivers I wouldn't mind having is just Waddle and JMO. Like, you know what I mean? Both of them can have big games when I don't really expect it. So, what do you think?
I mean, I personally am not. I want to keep my again in this shallow format, like F it. I don't know how many leagues you're in, like how much you care about.
Is he giving up both 25 firsts here?
Yeah. His own and the other's mid.
Can you take out your 25 first, give the 26 first, and not even take the other picks back from the other manager? So just make
done. done
Brooks,
in this
the
format.
mid 25 and the your 26 for Gibbs, and just offer that as the counter. If he says no, I have to have your pick, then he knows he's betting against you, not screwing it up. You know what I mean? He knows that your pick is probably going to be volatile.
Well, if that's the counter, if you offer the mid 25 first, your 26 first for Gibbs, and it's countered to where he wants your 25 first, counter back and be like, no, we're going to keep that mid 25 first, but I'll give you one of these 25 seconds. That's what I would do. And if it dies right there, it dies right there.
Sure. I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Rock and roll. Okay. We're going to end this one again. Thank you very much for that hammer, or those hammers, 10 of them. I'll see if I missed anything key. Scott, you're the man. Thank you to the 592 people watching right now, 4:40 p.m. on it feels like a Wednesday, right? Cheers, everyone. I'm going to end this stream. Scott, you want to say bye?
No, appreciate everybody jumping in on this hump day, and get ready for week 6. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Cheers.